I wanted to wish you happy Mother's Day. Thank you to all of our earthly mothers, to all of the mothers here, all of our divine mothers in our community, and to our universal divine mother. I wanted to read a whisper from eternity in honor of Divine Mother. I invite you, it's a little longer, it's not too long, but I invite you to take it as a meditation. It's called Divine Mother, Come Thyself into the waiting temple of our love. Divine Mother, be Thou the only flame shining on the altar of our hearts. Burn away any darkness that lurks there. Divine Mother, be Thou the only fragrance rising with the incense of our love for Thee. Permeate any dark nook in the hearts also of those we love. In our tears of love for Thee, wash away what attraction we feel for material objects. In our tears of communion with Thee, wash away all the sorrows of earth forevermore. Divine Mother, unite our separate hearts into one great love, wherein Thy omnipresent can rest forever and forever. Teach us to behold our latent perfection in the clear mirror of Thy divinity. Let the altar flame of our love for Thee rise in triumph, shaming the little hissing sparks of all earthly desires. O Divine Mother, may our love be a shooting star racing gloriously through dark skies of forgetfulness, cutting its way through dark thunder clouds of worldly preoccupation. Divine Mother, a million distractions have come to lure us away from thoughts of Thee. Thou Thyself, in order to test us, hast offered false substitute fulfillments, pompous temple ceremonies to satisfy the ego needs of worldly people, religious organizations shouting, salvation can come only through serving this work, priests and ministers offering the gospel, God will bless you if you give us money. O Mother, I have done with such outward shows in Thy name. I await Thee now in the inner temple of my love. Steal softly into this silent temple, Mother. With lambent flame, banish the darkness of my long ignorance and grant me safety in Thy ever-shining bliss. Well, you might be wondering, it's Mother's Day, and why am I giving the talk and not Dharma Devi? I keep wondering that myself. But we have this thing in our family, we flip a coin, and heads, I give the talk, and tails, Dharma Devi doesn't give the talk. Hey, wait a minute. She's fixed the game now. 1,000 Vedas do declare divine mothers everywhere. That was from that chant that Dharma Devi sang. How are we going to come to this grand realization that Divine Mother is everywhere? I was thinking about how to tie in the Martha and Mary story with Divine Mother and Mother's Day here. And of course it occurred to me, everything is Divine Mother. But the story you remember here of Martha and Mary, Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus, and she's, as the reading says, absorbing His word. Let's remember that word here means not His spoken word, but the divine vibrations that Christ was emanating. And she was receiving the Divine Mother, right? The Om. This is, we know, as Master tells us from the yoga science, how we ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness. It's first through the Divine Mother, through Om, And Master often said, mother is closer than the father. And he brought us this new dispensation, this new way that we can receive Divine Mother, not as a thought, as a platitude. That's not enough for us. We want to experience Divine Mother in our heart of hearts. And he's given us techniques to experience Divine Mother as energy, as love, as joy. And they are real. And Divine Mother is real. I was reading, I'm sure many of you know that quote. Master said, the spiritual path is 25% your effort, 25% the effort of the Guru on your behalf, and 50% the grace of God. Well, I just read where he said it slightly differently. He said, it's 25% your effort, 25% the technique, and 25% the grace of God. In other words, these techniques are sacred and holy to us because they bring the Guru. They awaken Divine Mother within us. That man that Master met in Vrindavan, that young man, and he initiated him into Kriya Yoga. And he said, the Kriya Yoga of Lahiri Mahashai will be your Guru. So we haven't met these great masters in the body, but haven't we met them in the body of our experience in meditation? Divine Mother's calling. Don't forget to take the call. So I had to tie in the reading today, Martha and Mary. Well, there's the Martha side of the equation. Perhaps we're more familiar with that. I have been of late. So I want to tell you a few Martha stories. One, I had the great joy to be with Ramesha and Bhagavati and Riccardo, our Italian friend who many of us met recently. We went to Los Angeles for Yogananda Fest. It was a joyful experience with Jyotish and Devi. And we were on our way, it was to Sunday service, and we were supposed to be there for the choir rehearsal, I think at 9:30 or something like that. And we were running maybe a little late. And so we had to stop for coffee, though, because we were with Riccardo. And you need coffee. You're Italian. You need coffee. I'm Italian, but I don't drink coffee. But because my wife tells me I don't need it. So I said, well, let's stop at this Starbucks. It's right down the street from the center. And I said, and Ricardo was driving a rental car. So I said, Ricardo, turn here. I said, boom, 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 you're going to go around and we're going to go through the drive-through. He's like, no! He's a tenor. He's got a high voice. No, Narayan, we cannot do drive-through coffee. We must sit down, enjoy. And I thought, my God, he's right. So we sat, we had coffee. And we were late. Actually in LA, they're on India time. So we were actually right on time. But it reminded me, we don't have to be in a rush. We can relax and enjoy. I had this other Martha experience. It taught me a great deal how to be more like Mary. Many people know, but some people don't. Dharma Devi and I have a little hobby farm, and we have a pet cow. Do we milk the cow? No. Okay. Why do we have a pet cow? My answer is, why don't you have a pet cow? Anyway, so we have a cow, a couple goats, we have some chickens, some ducklings, and one day, now chickens are in a routine. They're like clockwork. Dusk comes, they go to the barn, they're in there. But one day, this is, a couple months ago, we had to put the animals away a little bit early for something we were doing that evening. And I had the cow in, and I had the goats. But because it was before dusk, the chickens were not complying with what I felt was appropriate behavior, which was to be in the barn. And so I found myself feeling irritated and impatient with these chickens. And even though I've seen Rocky 3 when he chases the chickens around, I didn't want to be enacting that. So anyway, I thought, geez, I'm going to have to go and wrangle up these chickens. And then I thought, well, what can I do right now? And I had the brush in my hand, and our cow, Niyani is her name, she loves to be brushed. And so I just started brushing her. And then she will sort of like hum and almost purr. It's not like a moo, it's like a low ohm. And I just started brushing her, and I was like, I am here with her. And I fell into this brushing reverie with our cow for like 5-10 minutes or so. Lo and behold, when I sort of paid attention to the larger barn, the chickens had come in of their own accord. And I thought, oh, wow, this is such a perfect illustration of how we overcome our karma, right? When you're in love, when you're loving God, when you're focused and you're concentrating on the divine, your chickens will come home to roost. Quite literally, your karma will come home to roost, and you will be free. Now, my other experience that I had, it was related to God alone. And you know how Master had that rhymed couplet? He would often say, when this I shall die, then shall I know who am I. And how are we going to die to the ego? How are we going to let go of our little self and become the greater self? I randomly, again, a month or so ago, I was at home and I heard this whisper, just go to God Alone and open it to a random page and just look. And I did that. And I opened it and I was astounded to this passage from Sister Gyanamata. Some know she was Master's most advanced woman disciple. And the passage was very simple. It was the first sentence to a letter she was writing to someone that was going through difficulties, which we, of course, can all relate to. All your problems, she said, can be solved with one thing. Turn to God and fill your consciousness with the realization of His perfection. I thought that was so beautiful. And it was an answer that's what Mary's doing. She's turned to Christ. She's filling herself with the realization of His perfection, of His divine energy, of His joy, of His love that's awakening it within her. And our problems arise when so often we forget and we turn away. And we're filled with vexations, with anxieties, with worries, with whatever it is. But the answer is always quite simple. It's turn to God. And I was thinking this morning, there's another book we're all writing. We are all writing. It's not God alone. It's God alone is the doer. That's the deeper teaching. When Jyotish and Devi were with Swami Kriyananda once, and they were sort of commiserating about how long it takes on the spiritual path. And they were in India with Swamiji, and Swamiji was having his breakfast, oatmeal or something, and he just stopped between bites. And he said, the spiritual path is all about overcoming the ego. And that's done through deeper, longer, thirsty, guru-given meditation and seeing God as the doer in everything. So when this I shall die, then shall I know who am I, the way that he dies is we can feel the truth, the only truth, that God is the doer. And I'm going to share with you another, this is a profound experience that just happened last weekend. I think a lot of people know we were shipping the books up from Los Angeles to our new warehouse up in Polestar. And it was a lot of fun. Michael, I think, is here today. We were packing up the books in LA. We had 40 pallets of books. So we had to rent two 53-foot trucks, the big semis. And we had prepared and done all of our homework, and everything was ready, and the trucks were leaving Friday morning, and they were coming Saturday, 8 a.m. And I left LA, I left on Thursday, I drove up, I relaxed a little bit on Friday. I was really enthusiastic, calmly, about the books coming. So, of course, Divine Mother always has man proposes, God disposes, as that saying goes. So 8 a.m., the first truck arrives, absolutely no problem. And he drives up, comes in, does the turn, gets up to Polestar. And it was an experience of God is the doer. Because all our friends from the community came out. We had, Yogi Raj was a maestro on the forklift. We had Michael Georgia helping at Guru Pod on the pallet jack. Cullen was drilling these bolts into the ground. It was the joy. Dharma Devi, Femke, and Blossom were putting together these shelving units. And you could feel this greater sense of yourself, that God is the doer. You're not doing it. He's doing it all through you. It was so joyful. That was the first truck. What's that line from A Tale of Two Cities? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the best of trucks, it was the worst of trucks. So the second truck, it broke down actually in Sacramento. So he was delayed, which was a blessing because it gave us time to get the first truck unloaded. And he didn't arrive until 3 o'clock. And when he arrived, I realized I met him at the entrance, and I could feel that he was agitated. And this little whisper came, and it said, he shouldn't do that turn. You should have him go in the parking lot and go around. But I didn't listen to myself. And I just thought, well, the first driver did it. He'll be okay. I said, there's a sharp turn. Be very careful on this certain turn. That one right up here, which you all know by the temple parking lot. Long story short, I don't know what happened. He went maybe a little too fast, cut it a little too close. His back right tire went into that ditch there. And then the trailer sort of tilted. And then he was like a beached whale. He was completely stuck, across this one main road in Ananda. And here it's like 3:30 on a Saturday, and all of our morning help had kind of dissipated. And all the big guns we were calling, Ananta, Prakash was in seclusion. I was like, what? I said, my Lord, what do we do? The yogi is taught to be even-minded and cheerful, and I think I could say I was off-center and near tearful. But like Swami said, if somebody hits a ball on the other side of the court, you're playing tennis, you can't cry about it. You just have to think, what am I going to do? And so we had rented a forklift, and I drove the forklift down to the truck, and I didn't know what we were going to do. I thought, well, maybe we would unload him, and then we would get him towed out. It was no bueno. And but then Divine Mother spoke through Michael Georgia. And Michael Georgia said, it was like this real subtle thing, very understated. He said, when I was 19, I was a certified forklift driver. And I think I can lift up the trailer and we can get him out. And I just said, all right, Michael, give it a try. And he did. He actually was able to get his forks under the side of the truck. We lifted it up like 6 inches or so, and the driver was able to back up. He got out of the ditch. Then I listened and I said, don't do the turn. Let's go into the parking lot here and we'll do a loop-de-loop. And we did, and we made it up safely. We got unloaded, we took him out safely, and it was fine. But it reminded me that it doesn't matter. God is the doer. And the more that we turn to him, the more that we open ourselves to Divine Mother, the more that we meditate with her, we serve with her, we hold on to that peaceful absorption in all activity, then we too can have that realization that Divine Mother is everywhere. God bless you.
The secret of laughter lies in the laughing, not in the search for joy. It's a swallow winging on the wind, it's innocence in a boy. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the singing, not in the song sung, welcome but never crave. If you think that laughter lies in things, to things you'll be but a slave. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the giving, not in the gaining, grasp and you'll never sing. You can win the world and still be poor, win peace and live like a king. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Sing when the sun shines, sing when the rain falls, sing when the road seems strange. In a tempest seize the lightning flash and ride the winds of change. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Loo-ra-loo-roo-lay-ro, loo-ra-loo-roo-lie. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly.
All your children, Mother call you, knowing not it's you they call. Some through mists of their unknowing, bruised and hurting when they fall, turn away, but who can leave you? You, the mother of us all. If the child forgets its mother, will she coldly turn away? Wise or foolish, we're your children. Guide us, Mother, if we stray. Those whose hearts are torn with anguish, lack the power your name to call. Heal their wounds, Ma, soothe their sorrows. You, the mother of us all, heal their wounds, Ma, soothe their sorrows. You,